From Mamamia, welcome to The Spill, your daily pop culture fix. I'm Laura Brodnick.
And I'm Tina Burke, Mamamia's pop culture and social editor.
And a resident Taylor Swift expert.
Very true.
As we have learned. So we are here today for a brutally honest review of Taylor Swift's new movie. Now, it came into our lives for a brief but interesting moment one weekend, and Tina and I went to the cinema to see it together, which we'll get into that in a second. And so we thought we'd bring you a brutally honest review. Now, if you've listened to our episode earlier in the week about all the secrets of Taylor Swift's new album, that was a bit more technical. It was about the lyrics. It was about what people were saying about everyone involved. The movie is its own beast. It's its own entry into the Taylor Swift universe. And so we're going to be going through that. Now, if you haven't seen it, that's fine. We can't spoil anything. There's literally nothing to spoil.
Nothing to spoil.
But if you weren't one of the people who got a chance to see it on the weekend, we're about to tell you everything that unfolded and all the drama that has come off the side of it.
All the tea, all the moments you might have missed, etc.
So the movie came out, as I said, for just one weekend. It was called The Official Release Party of a Showgirl. And Taylor Swift basically said it was going to be the music video for The Fate of Ophelia, which is the first single from the new album, and a bit of behind the scenes of how she made the music video. And it was going to be the lyric videos for the rest of the 11 tracks. And boy, was she not lying, because that is exactly what it was. And I think a lot of Swifties went into it knowing they would be just watching the lyrics go across the screen.
Yeah.
So they were okay with that. It went on to be number one at the North American box office and made $33 million in just one weekend. And then also went on to make millions of dollars and also be number one across many other countries and cinema chains in the world. So it was a very lucrative weekend for Miss Swift.
It was a big deal. Like, everyone who's anyone was at the premiere of a Showgirl or whatever she called it. I liked this title.
The release party. You call yourself a Swiftie.
I just make up whatever that comes to this title because it's just a bunch of words, isn't it? So long as you say Showgirl, you kind of get something close to it.
Yes.
But it was a big cinematic event. We were all very excited. You maybe less so. But you were coming anyway.
I was there. I went for work purposes because I very much, I really value our audience. I'm not even lying now. I'm such a cynical person. I have a heart of stone and no feelings except for fictional
characters. When I described what this was to you, like what this cinematic event was, like I was already like, I'm a huge fan. I don't know that I need to go see this thing. So you were not interested at all, and that's understandable.
No, I said not only do you have to go because it's your job, you have to go with me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like a work colleague inviting themselves along to hang out with you on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is what we did. So some cinemas were, here's the thing, there was a different experience depending on where you went. Some cinemas.
And what time of day? Because this thing kicked off at like 5 a.m.
Yeah. And I know some people were floating the idea like, should you and I go to a 5 a.m. screening so we get our coverage up early? And I said, I love the Spillers so much. I went to the cinema just to see the movie, just so I could talk about it on this podcast. That's what I did, and I have no complaints about that. But I was in no way in hell going at 5 a.m. on a Saturday. So we went at 12, which is still pretty early for me. I arrived blurry-eyed to the cinema.
Also, like, you guys have seen Laura, right? Like, you guys know who Laura is. She's always got like a bold lip. She's always got her hair done like perfectly.
Not in these videos,
beat,
I don't.
Outfit steamed. And like, I'm there in like, I don't even know what I was
thought that was leading to, but you should have seen her
No,
on
you looked
Saturday.
phenomenal, but that's my point. Like, God knows what I was wearing. Something. An outfit for sure. Clothes. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Otherwise, that would have been a very different cinema experience.
And Laura and I are like, right, it's a morning. I mean, it's lunchtime, but we're like, that's not a popcorn and Coke time. It's not a wine time. This is the AM for us.
I mean, I definitely would have gone on wine, but I had to go and write my review afterwards.
You had to do some thinking. Also, just to set the scene, on the Friday when the album drops, I'm really excited, obviously. I'm still working, but I'm trying to listen. You decided to go in with
Oh, yes. I made a journalistic decision is what I'm calling it. So Friday the album comes out. Huge ripple of excitement across the world. People lose their minds, including Tina Mary Burke over here, who
my gosh, middle name drop. I might use that for my passwords. I don't. Try and hack
change
me.
though. That's terrible security. Loses their mind. And at that point, you and I are double checking what time we should meet at the cinema tomorrow, how much time we'll need for coffee, etc., etc. And I said, hey, in the interest of journalistic integrity and making sure that we attack this new Taylor Swift movie from every side, why don't you go in, having listened to the album multiple times, which you did, and knowing all the background and knowing all the lore and knowing what the fans were saying, and you're in 50 group chats and everyone was talking about it. You stayed up all night listening to it and you had a frantic energy the next day.
I did.
And then I went into it not hearing any of the songs. I didn't look at any of the information online. I read no reviews. I read no discourse. So I went into it completely blind. And it saved my life.
Yeah. And so we go in with really different experiences, which we will obviously get to. Sorry, I sidetracked us. But point being, I'm in a Taylor Swift frenzy. It's the AM for us. We go, let's meet. We'll get a coffee. We'll get a breakfast treat. Laura Brodnick, as always, thinks she's going to be on time. Isn't. Okay. Not her fault. It's Uber's fault. Sure,
it kind of was a bit my fault.
But Laura comes running into the coffee shop.
Literally running.
Midday in like a full face silk skirt, like a classic Laura ensemble. And I'm in like a pajama top. And, yeah, well, it was casual for you. I'm in like a pajama top and a striped skirt. That's what I was wearing. And like I think I was wearing Tevas or like a sneaker. Yeah. But like I was looking very cinema casual. Laura was ready for the premiere, as she should be. Can
I just say, if there was an Australian premiere, we didn't get invited.
No, we didn't.
We bought these tickets.
You treated it like it was one.
Well, I don't know about that, but we had to go buy our own coffees, which we're not accustomed to. Can I just say, I have not been to the cinema and bought a ticket for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I had to do it. I know you haven't.
I know. That's why I made you buy the tickets. So I was like, how does one procure a movie ticket? And then we went in and there was ads and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
But we went in, we got a sweet treat, we got our coffees, we sat down and I didn't know what it was going to be about. Yeah. But as I said, I'm so glad I hadn't listened to the album. I know everyone, this wouldn't have been for everyone, but it was the right decision for me because I was seeing all the songs for the first time as they played on screen. Yeah. And so watching, which is basically, it's what, a 90-minute movie?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say about 55 of those minutes were just videos with lyrics going across the screen. And I found that interesting because I was seeing everything for the first time. If I'd already listened to it, I would have been like, get me out of here. Why? If I'd listened to it at home 10 times and I could watch the text on my own screen with the Spotify thing where it shows you the text.
Yeah.
Why am I paying like $30 for a movie ticket to watch it on screen?
No, that's so valid. But also, a lot of the cinemas were like sing-along party vibes.
Yeah.
So that's the vibe, right? It's supposed to be like gather all your friends, go to the movies. You'll see, and we'll talk about what else was in there. But yes, every single song. And I actually turned to Laura at one point. I was like, do you reckon it's every song? And she was like, yes, Tina. That is famously what this movie is for. I was like, fuck.
It's interesting what you're saying about people dressing up and people singing along because in my review,
our cinema.
no, not our cinema, which I feel like you could probably pick the ones that we're going to have.
Yeah.
We went to a tiny cinema and I won't dox you because it's next to your
apartment.
Yeah, please
don't. You already gave away my middle name.
If anyone else would like put Tina's personal details, just DM me and I'll give them to you. Yes, we went to a really small cinema on a Saturday early morning, 12 o'clock. I'm sure there were cinemas. Well, I saw them online. I saw cinemas where they were absolutely packed.
Yeah.
And that is what I really defended this movie over because, as I said, once we finished the movie, I raced home and I wrote a review and I put it up on, which we'll link in the show notes, and put it up line so that we could have something out because only out for 2 days. So the time was of the essence. And there were a lot of really scathing reviews about the movie from many like very prestigious outlets and from many outlets across the world, calling it a greedy cash grab, calling it useless, calling it a disservice to fans. And in my review, I kind of said like a little bit that's missed the point because yes, at the end of the day, Taylor Swift put this movie out to make extra money and for extra promotion. However,
it was always honest about what it was, though.
Yeah, it's product and demand. Yeah. Like there was demand for this product, which is why she put it out. Because what we saw at cinemas across the world was people putting on their Taylor Swift outfits, dusting off their Eras Tour outfits in many senses, putting on their friendship bracelets, going to the cinema, wanting to recreate the unity and the excitement that they felt at the Eras Tour, which for so many people was such an important, beautiful moment in their lives. And it was.
There's so many clips from cinemas of like young girls dancing, lots of like older gals having a wine, watching the show. So like very different experience depending. But you and I, coffee in hand, Lamington for you.
We didn't have that, but
morning bun for me,
Yeah.
and some tweens
was
in the
still
front
nice.
row with a torch on, and I was this close to boomering it and going downstairs to the kids
If
in the
you
front
had got
row.
in a fight with some tweens, I would have just lost it. That would have been the perfect cinema
There's no
experience for me.
decorum these days, guys. Come on. If I was a kid, I would have been terrified to make a mistake in the cinema.
But
But
yes,
it was pretty
when I
empty where we were. Yeah.
But when I saw those clips of like, people singing in the cinema and people passing friendship bracelets back
that's
and
the whole
forth, and
point.
people made outfits, like people were making full showgirl outfits. And I was like, at the end of the day, Taylor Swift's biggest strength has always been like, she's really good at creating like an event where you feel very special to be part of it.
Yeah.
And she's very good at creating community for all different ages. And that's all people want at the moment. They want to go somewhere dressed up and make friends.
You just want to have a good time and like whatever, if you've got $30 to spend and that's what you want to spend it on, go for gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I'm still trying to get a plan actually. If enough spillers DM, maybe she'll do it. I kind of want Laura to come to my house and watch the Eras tour. I'll go to her house, but she never watched the Eras tour film because she was like, well, I went to the concert, so I don't need to. You should watch the film too because it's so much fun. Recreate the magic.
I don't know if anyone wants a brutally honest review of the Eras tour movie.
No, they don't need that. I need it personally.
Okay.
So I just want the spillers to harass you into being my friend. That's what I'm asking
Don't tell
for.
them that. They're harassing me on DMs every day. But what I wanted to just quickly circle back into before we get into the magic of this movie.
The magic of the film, yeah.
Is how it obviously worked as a huge marketing strategy, which is what it was there for. I don't think that was hidden for anyone, around how it made the album release more of an event. It made people be excited to, like, at the beginning of the movie, Taylor Swift says, I hope you sing along. So she's inferring that I hope you've streamed this or listened to your vinyl many times before you come to the cinema. And what I was really interested in this whole rollout of the life of a showgirl is how much press Taylor Swift did. Like, I thought when she went on New Heights, everyone's like, I can't believe she did a podcast. And I was like, well, she did her fiance's podcast. That's very different. But I was kind of expecting that would nearly be it. And then she went on so many different talk shows. She went on so many radio shows. She gave more interviews in like a week-long period than she's given in over 5 years, was like kind of what I tallied up looking at it. And why I thought that was interesting is that for so many years, the story has been Taylor Swift doesn't need press. She doesn't need interviews. She's the one celebrity who has so much power that she doesn't need to sit for magazine profiles, and she doesn't have to do the radio interview circuit like we saw her doing. She doesn't have to go sit on a talk show bench and or play a game. She doesn't have to eat a spicy wing or pretend to go on a date with someone. Like, she's moved beyond traditional press, and that was always the big thing about her. And we could see from the moment she was doing the countdown on her socials and dropping all the Easter eggs, the whole world was watching her. She didn't need to do any press. So why did she do it? Can you answer that for me?
No, I actually can't. And
Okay, I did think that you were going to say yes because we had talked about this previously and you said you could answer it.
I think there's obvious parts of it. This is the amount of press that she's done previously. Say, like, before Reputation, this was the amount of press she would be doing for anything.
Oh, yeah, that's
right?
what I mean. Like, we've seen her do this before, but not since
in
she
a long
became
time.
Taylor Swift.
Not since then. And I honestly was surprised by the radio. The late night shows, expected.
Because she's got a friendly relationship.
She's got good
and those can be very
relationships with
curated.
them. They're very fun. They're very good for
The radio
social.
circuit really shocked me.
The radio circuit shocked me because this is pop star Taylor Swift. This is superstar Taylor Swift. And she's on the radio answering inane questions about, like, do you think you'd ever go to space?
Oh my God, I do love that because she had the same reaction when I get asked if I'm going to go to space, because that is a big fear I've talked about on this podcast before. And absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Taylor Swift
Why would
and I
I
are not
do
going
that?
to space.
My favorite thing was that her reasoning was like, no one would believe I went. They'd think it was AI, so why would I? And she also was like, it's cold, it's weird, it's waste. What are we doing? But it's very surprising to me that she did the radio circuit. That I did not expect. I think it comes in parcel with why we know she's doing this rollout of, like, the big talk shows, is that she's seeing this album as, like, her next Grammy winner, her next big award season winner. And so it's like, that's her big plan when she does those rollouts, is to be more present and to be more involved in that marketing and in the talk shows and make sure that she's, like, front and center in everyone's minds. And it's also something I think that she's doing now because maybe she just feels like a bit more at ease. Like, there was a long period of time. Folklore and Evermore was obviously, like, during COVID. She had just come off the back of Rep and Lover. She was still treading quite carefully. The Eras tour, like, really reinstated her as that mega star that people were obsessed with. And I think that now that she feels happier and more confident in who she is, she's willing to kind of go back and do those things that are more traditional and put herself out there and show that she's, like, quote unquote fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what she wants. She wants to be seen. Like, she'll often, what I love about her is that she'll make like a quip or a joke on a talk show and no one reacts because they don't really understand.
Yeah.
Like, is that a joke? What's she saying? And so, like, you see it in the behind the scenes of Miss Americana. She makes a lot of quips and jokes to her team and no one reacts to her because I think people just look at her and they're like, she's wrapped in like this weird protective bubble wrap.
Yeah.
And so I think she wants people to see her as fun. She wants people to see her as like a cool, fun, showgirly girl.
Yeah.
Who's going to win a couple Grammys. I mean, who knows now with the reaction to the album rollout. But I think that's her big plan. She wanted this to feel huge, but it surprised me because I thought that this movie was supposed to be like the Secret Sessions thing where this would be the place where she revealed stuff, and yet she's on radio going, this is my favorite song, this is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of did make the movie thing feel a little less special when she's saying the exact same stuff, if not more, also on radio.
That is so true. I hadn't even thought about that because
Yeah.
the promise of the movie was to fans, like, you're going to see things before anyone else. You're going to see the video clip, which I guess you did. You saw the video clip before other people.
cool.
And she was like, I'm going to tell you exactly why I wrote each song and what I was thinking, and you won't get that anywhere else except for the 15 radio interviews I'm going to do first.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I kind of do agree what you're saying that it was half an award show ploy. Like, she's essentially starting her campaign. Because it doesn't matter how many people love you. Like, the Grammys are notoriously...
Means a lot to her.
Grammys are notoriously a bit dirty with the way they operate, but they also notoriously are not going to be completely swayed by fame. What we've kind of picked up from Taylor Swift over the years is that no matter how many ticket sales she has or records she breaks, she still very much craves the validation of her industry and of things like the Grammys. So it was half an award show campaign rollout. And I think what else you're saying is true too. It was also half of a personal branding exercise to make her feel less elusive, less godlike, more like an every woman. She was bringing in little packages of baked bread to the different radio hosts, and she was talking about like cute little things, and she was showing off her engagement ring, and she was chatting. She just looked like I'm not saying that was an act, but when you're Taylor Swift, you can't go anywhere without thinking about how am I going to present myself, because millions upon millions of people are going to dissect this 10-minute interview.
And it was jarring, not in a bad way. I have no qualms what she does or does not do with her life, but like it was a bit jarring compared to what we've seen, to have her there flashing the ring going like, oh yeah, the wedding's going to be then I'm going to do this. Like, oh yeah, Graham Norton, you can come. It's going to be a big affair. Like, it was so... I know that she behaved that way, like you said, on New Heights, but that's literally his podcast.
Yeah, that's her family.
That's her family.
Yeah.
Like, it was very strange to see it so candidly the way she once upon a time was, when we haven't had that for a very long time. She very much became Taylor Swift, the brand. Taylor Swift trademark. Like, that's who she's been for a long time. And even if she lets her personality out and even if she shines through, she's still that person presenting all the time.
Yes.
And you saw it at the Eras tour, even in the fact that a lot of what she said was rehearsed.
Yeah.
There was very rarely an off-the-cuff moment said on tour. It was all very like by the minute.
Yeah.
Exact same thing said every single night.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's part of that thing that she's been so careful about. So it was weird a little bit to be like, what do you mean you're talking about like your wedding?
Yeah, it was.
Why are you telling us?
Was jarring in an interesting way.
Yeah.
So the personal branding is what brings us to the movie. So at the top of the movie, she talks about wanting to give fans a sneak peek, encourages people to sing along. Yes. What do you
Eric Grievance.
Yeah, absolutely.
The top of the movie is an ad for Target USA, where you can buy an exclusive vinyl of Taylor Swift's album at Target. It's just take it out. Like,
for an Australian audience, because that's not the case here.
Yeah. That annoyed me. And I'm like, it just really frustrated me because I was like, it was a choice. We chose to go. I have lots of positive memories of Saturday that I'll cherish forever, and I had a good time. But if you're going to make people come and pay money to see this thing that you've done that is generic and is across every audience, can you at least change the American ad from the start of the video? And I know it's because it's a very fun ad. It's very Showgirl. We can't buy it. So can you just take it out? And
that's so true.
Or can you just do an intro like, hey, Australia and New Zealand, head to my website.
Yeah.
Like, do anything that makes it feel like we didn't just get a weird DVD from America and like my mum pressed play.
Yeah.
Like an illegal pirated copy. That's kind of how that made it feel.
It was weird. That's such a fair grievance that I hope she takes on.
Thank you. But then it introduces Taylor, and she does an intro.
Yeah. It introduces Taylor and we get into the movie. What is really interesting about this movie is that it is, as much as it's marketing for the album, it's also, coming off what you're saying about her in interviews, a huge exercise in public branding and making her look like everyone's best friend, but also a creative force, which we already thought of.
Yeah.
But I think it starts off with the making of the Fate of Ophelia music video, which is a thread that goes all the way through. We see the music video.
Which was sickeningly good. Like,
yes,
I think
what did you love about it?
I think this is the best
we
music
see the
video
really
that she's ever made.
The best music video she's ever made.
I think so.
Why?
Big call.
I'm not just agreeing with you. I'm just so interested because I know that you watch all of them so intently. So that really means a lot.
And I do think so. You get to see it twice, so you get bang for your buck.
Yeah, you do.
But I did enjoy seeing it, and then obviously they talk through it, so maybe that's also part of why I thought it was so much better. But I love, like, so if you haven't seen it yet, a lot of the segments are one-shot takes, which is a very hard thing to do, and you need to practice and you need to rehearse a lot. But what it usually delivers is like something very beautiful, and she had set all of hers in different artsy worlds. So the first section, she's recreating the painting of Ophelia, and then she comes out of the painting, and then it turns into her going into another painting, and there's all these moving parts around her, and then she sort of progresses through various stages of Showgirls, which you learn from the film is that she wanted the music video to showcase all of the different ways that a showgirl may be. And like, she is a tenuous link because she kind of calls Ophelia a showgirl, but she's like, in the sense that she was in a painting, and you're like, all right.
Okay. You're like, for artistic purposes, we'll go with that.
Let's say yes. But she sort of goes through, like girls who danced in the Kit-Kat clubs. She goes through like the girls who did like the water performances in their bejeweled swimsuits. Yeah. And like she does like herself at the end of each night of the Eras tour. So she shows what like a showgirl would have looked like through various phases in time. There's a moment where she has like a Marilyn moment with the blonde wig and like a corset. I just thought that it was a very stunning and well choreographed routine from the start to finish. And she had all of her Eras tour dancers, she had her band, she had all of these different people popping up. So that was also fun because if someone popped up on the screen, I was like, oh, it's Cam, or like, oh, it's this person, or hey, that's her guitarist.
Because
her whole entire life
have come to, because she really set up the Eras tour. She'd always say like, we welcome you to the Eras tour. We are so excited you're here. And at the end of the Eras tour, you see the faces and names of all the dancers and band flash up. So she was always trying to make it look like a community. And I think that's a little nod to fans from the Eras tour. Is like, here's all the dancers you loved dancing next to me, and they all get to have a little part. This making of the music video was my favorite part of this movie. I could have watched just 90 minutes on that. I could have watched
ages of that. That was so interesting.
I found it so interesting of all how she's explaining the setup. We're behind the scenes on all of these different shots, and this is when you see two parts of Taylor Swift, and because you only really see like maybe half an hour of footage, maybe not even that, 20 minutes of footage of the behind the scenes making of, and they were doing it for such a long time. I'm always really interesting of which pieces someone like Taylor Swift, who is in charge of everything, which pieces she picks to show. Yeah. And she shows a lot of scenes of her really explaining, because she directed and like wrote the music video and came up and the song, and she did everything. Yeah. And she really wants that to come across to the audience. There's a lot of different shots of her explaining in very intense detail what her vision is, where people need to be. You see her collaborating with people like Mandy Moore, who's like a very famous choreographer.
An iconic choreographer.
But is
not
also
to be confused with Mandy Moore, the actress.
No. She wasn't there that day, as far as we know. And so we see her really sharing her vision and going back and forth and all these sorts of things. And we also see her being like, not take charge, but it's very clear that she is in charge. And she's saying like,
oh, she's like, we'll go again.
Yeah. She's like, we're going again. We didn't get it. Go again this way. And then she's also saying to everyone, we have to get it in one shot. It has to be one shot. We cannot find it in the edit. We have to get it now. Yeah. All these different things. And you see her really giving that intense feedback, and also being like, they shoot it and everyone's like, they shoot one of the final shots when they're in the room partying. And she looks at the monitor and straight away she's like, no, I know you guys think that was good, but it needs to be dimmer. That's not right. We go again. Yeah. And also, interestingly, watching all the dancers do all these very specific moves. It's such a dance-heavy video. There's so much precision in, like, the movement of, like, this person comes across the corridor and this person throws a football to Taylor and then she throws it back, and this person jumps into the ocean and all this sort of stuff. And it's really interesting that none of the music plays during that. They do the whole sequence for the entire video off clicks.
Yeah. It is surprising to me that she even sings, because in parts of it she was singing out loud.
I thought that was weird too, because the whole reason...
She never does. And I think it's the fact that she does trust the Eras Tour team that much, that explicitly.
Not enough to play the song.
Not enough to fully play the song. But she also, if you watch the behind the scenes of like the Me music video, it's just the clicks. So they're dancing and let me audio it for you guys. It's literally just like... And you're like, wow, that was great. I can't believe we just danced to that track.
Yeah, because her music is under such lock and key that even with her most trusted team members, she can't play the song out loud.
But she's even saying the lyrics out loud, which is like shows how much she does actually trust them. But it is strange. So like they have all just worked together for so long now, and it was nice to see her bring them back. But it was kind of weird. And I think the point you've sort of made about her directing, I do want to say that like it was all very like, I want to do the best I can do is how it all came across. Not that she ever thought someone else didn't do a good enough job. It was always like, I can do that better.
Yeah.
I know I can nail that better. I know that I can do this better. The one was the lighting one in the final scene. But otherwise she was like, no, let me try one more time. I'm going to do one more and I'm just going to fall at the right time off this ship. I'm just going to walk down the steps at this exact right time. And like, I do think she takes that very seriously. Yeah. In that she has been criticized for not being a good enough dancer or not being like cool enough or not having like enough stage presence. So I think that's something she tries really. She wants you to know how hard she worked.
Yeah, exactly.
On that. And I think maybe this is also her like decades early run at an Oscars run.
Yeah, I mean,
because she does want to get into directing. She's said it before.
I think she really wants an Oscar. Yeah. She's come very close. The All Too Well music video was potentially in the running for Best Short Film for the Oscars. It didn't make it through to like the final long list. But also she had a slam dunk almost with Cats. Is that she did everything right. A big screen adaptation of a classic Broadway musical. She co-wrote a song with Andrew Lloyd Webber that was critically acclaimed. In any other world, except that people hated Cats so much.
I know.
In any other world, she would have at least got an Oscar nomination. Yeah. And that is why she was out promoing and doing all the red carpets and things for Cats. Is she was like, very soon I'm going to be at the Oscars and I'm potentially going to win my first Oscar, which is the thing that you can tell she really wants.
Yeah.
So and now,
I think she does. So
and
I think
Andrew Lloyd Webber let her down.
I know, but she wants that director lifestyle. So like I think this is her showing off her skill set for sure and like making it clear to all of us that this is her skill.
And making it clear that she's just one of the gang. That was the other thing.
I
thought she went to great pains, and I understand why. The tiniest little just hint that Taylor Swift treated anyone badly on that set, that she was in any way difficult, that she in any way said anything to anyone that made them upset, would just ruin her in a way that it wouldn't so much with other celebrities, because she has cultivated this, not to her enemies, but to her inner circle, who there's so many stories come out about how well she treats her band. And I'm not saying she doesn't, but I'm just saying like we get a lot of information around that because it's very clear that her team want us to know that she treats her dancers well, she treats her band members well, she keeps people with her for a long time, she gives bonuses to people, she's very collaborative. And there was a lot of clips that were deliberately shown and put in there to show her being like one of the gals on the set. Like when someone's like, oh, we could have your bread in the music video, and because she's been baking the sourdough and she gets she's like, my bread in the video? Really? Do you think that could happen? Do you think it could happen? Do you think it happened? I'm like, girl, you're the boss. You can do whatever you want. Why are you going and asking everyone in the room if your bread's allowed to be in there and then acting like this miracle has occurred? She was like, my God, my bread is going to be in a music video. I was like,
you're in it,
your
Taylor.
Music video.
And you're directing.
You can literally put anything you want in there. I don't mean that to be nitpicky. I don't mean that to be that. I know that sounded really mean, girl. I just meant like,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
The bits that she chooses to show, and there's all these moments where she kind of walks in, and I'm sure she meant it too, and she's being like, she'll go into every dancer and be like, you look beautiful, you look beautiful, you look beautiful, you nailed it, you nailed it, you nailed it. It's so good, it's so good, it's so good. I'm not saying she doesn't talk like that, but I do think she has to go above and beyond so that there's no question.
So there's no
who
question
she
of
is,
what her
because there would be a
personality is.
question if she didn't do it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, she can't do that. She can't like have a normal casual work acquaintance. No.
She can't come in and be like, God, I've had the longest day and I told you to put that light there and you didn't put it there.
Yeah.
And which would be very fair. A very fair reaction to have. But when you're Taylor Swift, you've got to be on the whole time.
Yeah.
And we saw it.
We did see it. And I think like they spent 2 years together on that stage every other day.
Yeah.
And like she really on the tour and then now in this music video has tried to make it very clear that like she sees them as like her friends and family.
Yeah.
How
she's
long
like,
that'll last once now that
Yeah.
this video is done, who knows? But like it's still nice to see them all together and see that like she is going out of her way to at least try to like I wonder how much they got for the music video.
Yeah, well, quite a lot, I'm sure.
Well, because she
does pay very highly.
Paying them all, oh my God. And she was tipping them all like, here's $100K. Like,
yeah.
I love that.
When you're making in that much money too, it's all relative as well. It seems
and
like a lot to us, but for her,
yeah, I'd
pretty-
love to be a backup
yeah.
dancer for Taylor Swift. Get
that'd
$1 or
be
two,
so
have some fun.
Some fun vibes.
Yeah.
So the most of the movie is we see the video play not once but twice. The Fate of Ophelia movie.
At the start and at the end.
Yeah, we see at the start, we see at the end. We see snippets throughout the movie that is the making of the video clip. And then the rest of the movie is made up of the lyric video of every song on the Life of a Showgirl album with a little intro from Taylor Swift. Now, the way, because everything's so set up, the way that she chose to do those intros I thought was very interesting. She's sitting in a director's chair because she's the director.
She's the director.
That's fair. She's wearing red and she's got a matching red lip and she's got her hair tied back in like a messy
pony.
Pony, a very like curly fringe. Like a hairdo I'm sure took hours, but it's also meant to look like, yeah, she's got a red lip on, but she's not overly done up. She's a working girl. She's got like boots and socks on.
Yeah.
And she's looking very like she's about to spring into directing action.
Yeah.
It's also meant to look very visually stunning because it's Taylor Swift. So her red lip matches her red top. And also there's a set behind her, which is a big floor to ceiling painting.
Yeah.
Which
from
is
the Ophelia part of the set.
from the Ophelia set with the red in it that perfectly matches her top and lipstick. So it's all really beautiful. But then we see the set has been just nudged over a tiny little bit. And so you can see behind the scenes onto the real set, which looks like behind the scenes of a theatre, very messy, very chaotic, very creative.
Yeah.
So it's meant to like show you that whole setup of where she's doing the intros. It's meant to show you've come into this beautiful world that she's creative, but you're on the set with her. So you're in the midst of the chaos.
Yeah, you're in the director's chair with her.
Yeah, you're in with her and you're getting
You're getting the hot takes and the special takes, and then she talks for 45 seconds.
About each song. Okay, let's go through
and then a lyric video plays.
We go through the intros for all the different songs.
Yeah. What I did love about the Fate of Ophelia intro, like, everyone makes fun of the whole, like, because Taylor Swift called herself that English teacher in that one post when she got engaged. And, like, it's kind of a joke of, like, people have said in the past, especially with, like, Folklore Evermore and Torture Poets, that, like, she waffles, too lyrical, like, too poetic, whatever. She kind of makes a bit of a joke of that, but I think there's a lot of chatter online about how people expected the Fate of Ophelia song to actually be more rooted in the Shakespeare story. And it's like, that's obviously not, she was going to relate it to herself. That's not what she was going to do. But the introduction is quite funny to the song because she talks about how she's like, oh, like, it's just like, I get so attached to these Shakespeare characters. I love Shakespeare. And I'm like, okay, I don't, but good for you. No, we all
don't like Shakespeare?
We love Shakespeare, but in the way that, like, who doesn't?
But she acknowledges that. She acknowledges that. She goes, I know, what a wild thing to say. I love Shakespeare,
but that's what I mean.
do.
It's kind of funny. Like, she's like, whatever. But then she's like, every time one of them dies, I get so sad. I'm like, well, it is famously called a tragedy, Taylor.
Yeah.
Like, you are meant to be sad, correct? She's astute. And so what she kind of does is try to be like, I am just going to, like, maybe save Ophelia from this sad fate, but it's not really about that. But she makes a joke of, like, the Romeo and Juliet song. Like, she's like, I try to save these women from their fates. And I'm like, okay,
she's like, I do that thing I do where I look at Shakespeare and then she goes, and Shakespeare actually holds up. And I'm like, I know that's meant to sound dumb, but she's correct. Shakespeare does hold up in a way that a lot of other literature from that time period or the decades that followed it.
Well, that's why it's still inspiring modern adadaptations.
I know. And again,
songs.
I know it's a wild thing to say, Shakespeare good, but she said it. She went out on a limb.
There.
She's not afraid to say controversial things.
She's not. And, like, you know what? Good for her. But the intro is quite funny because she is like, Shakespeare holds up, and I like to save these characters from tragedy because I get really sad when they die.
Yeah, she's like, I love to look at Shakespeare stories and say, but what if they got together?
And also, what if it was me?
And what if it was me? And then it cuts to the song. You're like, fair enough,
Taylor, and I understand.
Yeah, so we had that.
That was quite funny, and I just enjoyed it because so many people have been like, this song's not Shakespearean enough, and it's like, she's just inserting herself in the story, and you loved it when she did it on Love Story. So I think she
more was taking herself from the idea of Ophelia in paintings and through artist interpretations rather than Ophelia's full story from the play is what I took from it.
Because famously, I don't think Taylor Swift's boyfriends have murdered her father.
Yeah, that we know of. No. Stay tuned for the next album. Ooh. We learnt what opalite was. I've got to say, I didn't know what opalite was.
Apparently she got it wrong too. So
what?
I don't know.
Wait,
this is factual.
I'm just so you know, I'm getting all my opalite information from Taylor Swift.
Me too.
So it can't be wrong.
Me too. So yeah, she explained what opalite was, which was like man-made opal. I want to say.
Yeah.
And then it's like the stone for Travis Kelce's birth month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she
what part
liked-
of that is incorrect?
Well, apparently there's something to do with it being man-made. Is it's not exactly the same as like man-made diamonds and stuff.
Oh, I mean, I feel like that's
People
a
got a bit
technicality.
technical on the fake rocks.
All she
essentially.
said was that she and her mum, it was so funny because in some of her, this is where the press and the movie were butting heads.
Yeah.
Because people were saying, well, in the interviews, she said that opal was linked to Travis Kelce. And in the movie, she said opals are a special thing that she and her mum share.
I think it's both.
She goes, one of the many things we share together. And opalite is the idea of making your own luck and making your own happy ending.
Yeah.
And people got upset about that. And I was like, I do think what you're saying is true. It's probably just both.
It's probably just both. But it was, that was the vibe of what she said about opalite was that it was like taking something man-made and making it for yourself. And that's how she feels about the romance with Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
That, you know, they had the opportunity to create something and she's never made anything. I think the line is like, I've never made anything as beautiful as this or as lovely as this. It's a really, opalite is my favorite song.
Yeah, you love it because you think it's
that's a controversial
song.
take. Well, some
It's a
people are
fun
hating
song.
it. But like she does all these oh-ohs that sound Christmassy and there's like a jangly bell. It's kind of like when Little Mix released that like Love Me Like You Do.
Yeah.
No, you love me like you. And it just sounds like a Christmas song even though it's not. That's how I feel about opalite.
I like that she also
I
just
think
said that
it's
she
fun.
writes down words that she thinks are interesting when she hears them. So she wrote down opalite and then she just works it into a song.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound groundbreaking, but I just love that she's got a notes app full of words.
Yeah, she said a couple times, she was like, I've got a long list in my phone that I just scroll through and then someone has a beat or a melody that suits and then I just
one of
think
the
about
words.
how that could fit.
Man, I'd love to see that notes app
That's
just
so
to see
creative.
what's in her
But she was funny because
mind.
she was like, some of it's trash.
Yeah, I bet it is. Everyone's ideas like that. So she goes through the different intros to song. The one that gets the biggest laugh in our cinema with the 6 people who were in there, but also I've seen other cinemas that are packed.
Yeah.
The one that gets the biggest laugh is the introduction to Wood. Would you like to tell people what she said there?
Well, Wood is the song about Travis Kelce's penis.
Yeah.
And it's not just about that. It's about how sexy times are. And she introduces that song as like, it's all about superstitions.
Yeah.
She's like stepping on a crack, knocking on wood. Like she just does it in this really silly, nonchalant Taylor way, but where she can't be that jokey. And so she's got this like silly little grin on her face.
That's the thing is that the movie was like it was a G-rated movie because I think she was so aware that she has a really young fan base and we saw heaps of kids being taken to the cinema by their parents. And so when she's talking about Wood, she's like, it's about black cats and stepping on cracks and things like that. And she just stops and looks at the camera and everyone laughs because they're like, haha, it's about penises.
Yeah.
And then...
But also Laura hasn't heard the songs at this point.
No.
So then in the cinema, it was all the clean versions and all...
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
As all the songs come on, I'm like whispering to Laura and telling her what it is. And then...
Yeah, I wonder how this sounded to people behind us because across the screen it comes up, that was the key that opened my skies. And I did know, some part of me knew that was not the right lyrics. And then you lean over really loudly and go, the real lyric is the key that opened my thighs.
It wasn't
And that happened a few times. And I was like,
That's a
I get it. I'm listening to the clean version. So that got a big laugh. And then
the women next to me were having a great time because I was having to tell you everything. Yeah. They really enjoyed what we spoke about Charlie XCX.
Oh, yeah, that was a moment.
Also,
so, yeah.
it was whispers and they were whispering too. Like everyone was having a little chatter.
Well, it was, I mean, the thing
it's
is,
the vibe. You're
there's
meant
not,
to.
you're allowed, I hate talking in movies as, you know, don't talk to me, don't talk to anyone else, don't look at your phone, which I didn't do. I think you're in the movies, dead silence, except for laughter and maybe a gasp if you're a scaredy cat. Yeah. It's fine in the Taylor Swift movie because that was designed for people to talk and clap and sing along. And it was a lot of just lyrics on the screen. So what else are you going to do? Yes, going into the actually romantic, that was probably one of the longest intros. Yeah. And she really goes to town in that.
Yeah. So that is the introduction to the song that is believed to be about Charlie XCX and the relationship that they have.
Yes.
And she sort of introduces the song as like being about when you don't even realize that you were a part of somebody else's story and you don't even realize like what you mean to them because you've just been living your life and then they do something that makes it clear that like they don't like you or they have an opinion of you or they're talking about you behind your back and like you're all like, oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But she puts on this like, if you've heard the song, you'd know exactly what kind of voice she'd put on because she's doing a bit of like, oh, sweetie.
It's
like you
so,
think of me.
Oh, sweetie coded.
Yeah.
Like
which is funny because she later has a song where she's talking about how condescending it is when people talk to her that way. That she's like, the vibe is like, oh, and then she does a little She does a little kiss to the camera.
That was the most cutthroat thing I've ever seen. So yes, she does one of the longer intros to this song because you can tell she's got a lot to say. She even, I don't think I'm imagining this, and I think it's true, she sits up a bit straighter, she leans a bit forward in that director's chair, and she talks about the people who are so obsessed with her, and she doesn't even realize, and she goes, in our industry, attention is like the main reward, so thank you for that.
Kiss.
And yes, and then she blows a kiss into the camera, but it's not for us, the audience. It goes right, I felt like it went right over our heads in the cinema and smacked into the faces of all her enemies.
I literally, this intro was so like saccharine and like I scoffed out loud.
You did.
Put my head in my hands, laughed, and the woman next to me started laughing like at me. Like not next to you because it's an empty cinema. She's a few seats away. She started giggling, but she was happy because she smiled at me and she was like, because everyone knows the guy behind us is like, oh, Charlie. Yeah. Like everyone's like, oh, God.
I think the relationship you have watching this movie and a lot of people around us were having, it was like watching a very close friend.
Yeah.
Be in a public space, and we all have that thing with close friends where you're just like, oh my God, love them. Oh, I hate when she says that. Oh, of course she's going to tell the story again. Oh, look, I'm so proud of her. There she goes. Like we're all having that kind of moment watching her in this movie.
And if one of my friends behaved the way that this was, of this giggly, like winky face, kiss to camera, like, haha, you are jealous of me or you love me. Like I would have the same reaction of like, it was like, put your head in your hands, laugh at how ridiculous the situation is. And like genuinely she made me laugh. I thought it was so funny.
You're like, I knew she was going to say that when she said it.
Oh, God, Tay-Tay. But it was funny.
The other interesting intro was for Cancel, which everyone thinks is about like a number of famous women.
Made me think.
Sophie Turner, Blake Lively. And she was saying in that intro that she's been cancelled so many times and she feels so deeply what that is like. And she said she's become the person in all of these famous circles where the moment someone feels like they're getting cancelled, they call Taylor Swift. And she says, I always say the same thing. I know, I understand. It's going to be okay. Do you want to go for lunch?
Yeah. And that, you're saying that like seeing the words, like, because, okay, these lyric videos are like Taylor Swift got free license to do a boomerang under a kaleidoscope. Yeah. Because that's all it is. I think they're on YouTube now and you can look them up. But it's like one short snippet, all from the Fate of Ophelia music video, which we've already seen. So an outfit we've already seen on a short loopy boomerang and then in a weird kaleidoscopy shape where sometimes a fun color peeks through. Yeah. And like, so it's like a bit of razzle dazzle nothing. And then there's words on the screen. They're not exciting. They're just lyric videos. Yeah. But actually,
they're exciting if you're seeing them for the first time like I was.
But it's also like I was obviously having a great time because I kept poking Laura and adding things. But that, seeing the words on the screen combined with what she said about the like, should we go for lunch? It clicked for me. I was like, oh, this part's referencing Sophie Turner.
And she really wanted us, the thing that she wanted everyone to know as we watched that music video for the first time, that lyric video, she wanted us to know it was about Sophie Turner, which I thought was really interesting that that's the name she picked out to really kind of sell to us as part of the song. Because everyone thought it was more of a Blake thing.
Everyone thinks it's Blake, but like saying, can we like go to lunch and stuff? And then the line essentially that made me realize it and seeing it on the screen made me realize quite a few of the lines that tie to Blake, that tie to Sophie was the one like, did they catch you having too much fun? Because that was the whole Sophie and Joe thing, was that people were like, she's out partying. Joe's just a stay-at-home dad. He can't keep up with her crazy girl lifestyle. She's having too much fun for her mother. And then next minute, Sophie's staying at Taylor's apartment. She's being taken out to dinner by Taylor Swift where everyone's going to see them and they're going to get photographed. Like that was like, as much as people might think, oh no, like that wasn't that bad. Sophie was being absolutely cancelled over nothing at that point in time. And it didn't work because Taylor stepped in. Like, I mean, who knows if that will work again if Taylor has that power, but she put a stop to it just with her own star power. Yeah. And everyone turned around and changed their minds. But it was very clear what was attempted by Joe's team in the press at that point in time. Yes. It's well documented. And then likewise about Blake, like seeing it on screen, you're like, oh yeah, she is talking about flowers. Oh, she is talking about girl bossing too close to the sun, something that was said about them. Yeah. Oh, she's saying this thing. Like it just sort of made, that was the one lyric video where I watched it and I went, oh yeah, right. Yeah. Even though I'd been listening to it, I don't know, for some reason seeing it on the screen worked for me.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last intro we would talk about is the one for Father Figure, because that was also a bit of a lengthy one. And you could see that she came into that with a very deliberate plan of what she wanted us to think.
Yeah. So she starts off in that introduction by talking about like her experience in the industry and like why she interpolated that song. And she sort of says that like George Michael's song obviously talks about more of a romantic relationship, but she always loved the line of like, I can be your father figure.
Yeah.
And she wanted to apply it to the industry and the experiences that she'd had and to the narrative story of an ingenue and the person who promises to mentor them and the things that go wrong and all of the problems that people can face. But she really, really took the time and again kind of sat forward. And what people think is that she explains that it was really important to her to get permission from George Michael's estate and from his family before she ever touched the song. She knew she had an idea. She didn't want to do anything until she had explicit permission and she had the rights to the music. And given the context and the themes of the song, which is essentially like thinking you can trust somebody, this father figure, and then them turning on you, or perhaps like you just protecting yourself, like there's a lot of weird themes in there. People think that part of that is a bit of shade towards Olivia Rodrigo, who did interpolate some of Taylor's music without permission and who then had to give credit to her because their teams demanded credit. And then they sort of had an industry falling out where it's never really been addressed, but we know that they were once like Taylor was calling her daughter. She was giving her the first access to Fearless Taylor's version. They were really, really involved with each other. And then suddenly it was like no longer. So there is believed to be a bit of bad blood there between them, and people think that the commentary before this song playing means that she's hinting that part of this is revolving around the relationship between her and Olivia.
And I would say there's probably like quite a lot of truth to that, because the thing is, she does the intros for 12 songs. They're very short intros. Even the one where she kind of like where she's talking about her enemies, which goes slightly longer. So they're very short, and she spent a lot of time putting this project together, and like a lot of her, it's all her face, her image, her like everything about her on the line. So everything about those intros of what she's going to say for 2 minutes is chosen so specifically and so carefully, and she would have written and rehearsed about what she wants to say. So looking at what she chose to include, and especially that tidbit of like of really getting into ownership of music and what is the right thing to do, feels very deliberate.
Yeah. Taylor doesn't say anything without thinking about what it's going to mean. But like maybe off the cuff, but not in a filmed, curated 1 minute.
Where she's literally in a director's chair.
Where she's literally directing exactly what she's doing and what's being perceived. Yeah, no. That was all on purpose for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, so yes, it was 90 minutes. Yeah. We went to the theatre to see it. It was the Fate of Ophelia music video twice. I must say, it did hit harder the second time.
I was very grateful they showed me again. Otherwise, ending on a lyric video wouldn't have been fun.
Yeah, it wouldn't have hit the same way. Did it deserve to be in cinemas? Potentially not. Not at all if you're what most people are saying, because at the end of the day, it was a few snippets and lyric videos, and any other artist would have put that on YouTube. But I do think it was a smart move of her to put it in cinemas because the fandom was there. And if you build up the fandom, then maybe you deserve to also put it in cinemas, and ticket sales don't lie.
Yeah, and it's exactly what it promised to be. That's the thing. If she had said that this was, you know, it was, as we said, maybe sold as a little bit more of like an exclusive thing. Yeah. And then she's out doing every press under the sun saying the exact same quotes.
And I think some people thought there would be a bit more behind the scenes stuff.
I definitely
than the small snippets that we saw. I did too. I thought there was going to be a bit more.
But also it was like lyric videos will be playing on the screen.
I just didn't think people thought that was going to be as much as it was.
No.
But a lot of people weren't unhappy about that. So
yeah. And like there we go. It was fair. It was pretty much what was advertised. But also in that sense, like that's, you know, a cash grab. And I'm okay with that because I don't have to spend the cash if I don't want to. But a lot of people take umbrage with that. And that's fair enough. Yeah. You don't have to be supportive of the fact that Taylor does love to get $1.
She loves to put on a show.
She does.
Well, thank you so much for listening to our brutally honest review of Taylor Swift's new movie, as I'm calling it for a shorthand.